Good morning, everybody. Well, we're back. I hope you're back. We got a pretty good audience. We got a inquiry the other day from Queensland, Australia, anonymous feedback. So we're encompassing the globe. Earl Stewart on Cars. We're here to help you avoid being ripped off by a car dealer. It's kind of hard today. The economy, whatever you want to call it, good, bad, or hysterically crazy, the economy is on the car dealer's side, and by that I mean the supply and demand curve. And the same thing with the manufacturers, record profits. If you ever felt sorry for a car dealer, and I kind of doubt that you did, but if you, just in case you did, don't feel sorry anymore. These guys are making a lot of money. And let me be transparent. I'm a car dealer, and I'll admit it. My dealership's making more money than it ever did before. So, do I feel guilty? Yeah, a little bit, even though I'm towing the line with my philosophy, which I firmly believe in, to be honest and transparent, allow car shoppers to have their right, that they have the right with every other retail product to shop and compare price. And that's what it's all about. Unfortunately, today, when you shop and compare price, unfortunately for the consumer, all the car prices are high. And manufacturers are just making a ton of money. The dealers are making at least a ton. And we're here to help you buy a car for as little as you can if you need a car, new or used, and also maintain and repair your car. Your phone calls make the show. If you're new, believe me, I mean, if you're new and you listen to the show, you'll see what I'm talking about. We have some callers that are so incredibly intelligent and humorous and friendly. I mean, their personalities, the whole 9 yards. It's just really good. But mainly information. I'm not saying this to flatter anybody. I learn things on this show. I've been in this business for half a century. I've been a car dealer. I mean, I really, really know the business well. I'm not bragging. It ain't bragging if it's true. I really do know a lot about cars. But I learn something new, at least one or two things new, every week on this show. Rick Kearney, sitting to my right, by the way, is our certified diagnostic master technician. And this guy has really got his work cut out for him because the technology on cars is just absolutely moving at warp speed. The new models are coming out. I've never seen more, I hate to use the word gadgets, in the car business vernacular, we call them toys, but the technology is moving so fast, the manufacturers can't control themselves, and they're putting so many little really cool, some of them are good too, safety features. A lot of them are entertainment-wise and other things. The point is, a lot of things are being added to cars today that haven't been field tested. And I think they're using you, the buyer, to field test them. Not only are they not all working properly, but they're hard to understand even how to use. And Rick can help you there. And I would say, nod your head if I'm right, that's your biggest challenge is the new stuff, right? The old stuff you got down pat. I mean, he knows all what we talk about with cars. We talk about engines, and we talk about transmissions, and we talk about squeak, rattle, and rolls, and noises, and water leaks, and all that kind of stuff. But when you get into the high-tech stuff, we get stuff on the cars that's very difficult to diagnose. We have to sometimes get with the manufacturers, and sometimes they don't know how to diagnose it. They send specialists out to the field, and when they do diagnose it, guess what? They don't have the part to fix it. So we can tell you what's wrong with it, but we'll say it might be 3 months before we can do anything about it. So it's an adventure, and we're here to help make that adventure calmer. Call us, please, at our toll-free number, 877-960-9960. That's 877-960-9960. Now, there's a lot of other ways, and most of our contacts are not this way, but we like the telephone call, 877-960-9960, because it's good radio. it's good Facebook, it's good YouTube. The personality, your personality comes through, good, bad, or whatever you want to say. But your personality comes through, and that's entertainment. I mean, let's face it, this isn't a purely educational show. I like to think we're doing a little bit of entertainment here. I mean, we have to entertain you, otherwise you don't keep listening. People need to be entertained. 2 hours, if we can get 15 or 20 minutes of your time, we've done a good job. But to do that, we have to, give you something interesting. 877-960-9960. I promise we will get to that number when it rings as quickly as possible. Nancy Stewart, my co-host and a co-founder of the show 20 years ago, is sitting right there with a laptop computer. When she sees your call, it'll be put on her screen. She'll have your name and number, and we will stop what we're doing. She tells Stu Stewart, my son, just came in, and he's sitting across from her. If he's talking, Nancy will say, hey, Stu, we got a call. If Rick's talking, hey, Rick, excuse me, we got a call. And me too, Earl, we got a call. We stop what we're doing to get your phone calls at 877-960-9960. So please call us if you have anything to say. And I don't mean just a question, a comment. We love constructive criticism. And we reach all over the world. I said earlier that we actually had an inquiry from Queensland, Australia. So we reach all over the world. youtube.com/Earl on Cars. That's Rick Kearney's personal domain. He watches that, and he has a lot of, I hate to offend anybody else, but his callers or his viewers that are streaming YouTube are really smart, and we got a lot of good stuff out there. One guy, Donovan, is amazing, and a lot of guys are amazing on the YouTube channel. youtube.com/Earl on Cars, and of course facebook.com/Earl on Cars. And if you just want to go to Earl on Cars, you can get this show. You don't even have to tune it in because they're all on their archive. You can watch the shows. You can watch YouTubes of the shows. We've been doing this for a long time, and we've got a library of information on EarlOnCars.com, mystery shopping reports, which I haven't mentioned. If you're new, you're in for a treat. If you can wait or it can come back toward the end of the show, about the last half an hour. We secretly go into a car dealership somewhere. This one happens to be in Pennsylvania, our mystery shopping report today. But we're all over, mainly Florida, I'll be honest with you. Most of them are South Florida. And we go into the car dealership, and we pretend to buy a car. Agent Lightning is our undercover agent, and she does a fabulous job of, I hate to say duping the salespeople, but she comes in and across as a actual car buyer. And boy, she really gets treated the way you will be treated if you go into that dealership. And we tell you exactly how Agent Lightning was treated, whether she was lied to, whether the law was broken in terms of violating advertising codes or bait and switch codes or anything else. So if you've got a good, bad, or ugly dealership, and we publish them. We publish this in the archive, EarlOnCars.com. We have recommended dealers and dealers we don't recommend, and this all stems from that mystery shopping report. And I was talking about entertainment earlier. This is probably the ultimate entertainment. Not always, but we have some outrageous experiences at these car dealerships. It's hard to believe that we don't have more highly qualified, high-scoring dealers. Most of the dealers, I know people don't want to hear this, a lot of people don't want to hear this, but most car dealers don't do it right, folks. I mean, I'm sorry to say it. I'm a car dealer, and I used to be part of the Don't Do It Right team many years ago. I got my act together. Like to think I'm doing a much better job today, but as a profession, and all you have to do is go to the Gallup annual poll. They've been doing one since 1975, I think. That's a lot of years, about 50 years. They have been doing a poll, asked thousands and thousands of consumers what they consider the best and the worst and the ugly and as far as professions and businesses. And of course, car dealers are at the bottom. who's number one? Nurses. They're number one. Teachers are up there pretty high too. But at the bottom, car dealers, congressmen, lobbyists, direct mail companies.
Telemarketers.
Telemarketing, yeah. That's what I was searching for, telemarketing. They really, and today they really get you angry. I can't tell you how many of those calls I get. Anyway, I'm going to turn the mic over to Nancy Stewart, sitting right next to me. And not only is she monitoring the phones, but she's the female advocate on the show. She's the only female on the show, so she has to be the female advocate. And she makes the case for why women should be respected more, treated with more courtesy and respect than they are now, and why they should be in the business more, and why they should be more involved. And she's raised the awareness of the women on this show. We have about 50% women would call. And to reward those women, she has a special offer she'll tell you about right now.
Good morning, everyone. That phone number is 877-960-9960. I have a question for you. Electric. Everybody is buying electric. Can you afford electric? I think you can. The Model Y. $39,530. And if you subtract the incentives, you're going to get out the door for $27,030.
That's cheap.
And that is unbelievable. That's for the Model Y. Elon Musk is cutting.
In Colorado, they have a special 5,000 in addition to 7,500.
The 7,500, yeah, correct. Also, how do you feel about flying cars? Rick mentioned it, I believe it was last week. He was pretty excited, as I am. Flying cars. Wow. How about you, Stu?
You saw that Aleph?
Aleph, yes.
That is really cool.
Yeah. And
it's only $300,000.
$300,000, and if you want to sign up, $150. If you're real serious, they'll push you ahead on the list for $1,500. By 2025, flying vehicles.
I'm doing it.
The Federal Aviation Administration has been granted permission, and you can read all about that if you have access to AI, access to Google. It's everywhere. The news is everywhere, and it's exciting. There are only 2 occupants in that vehicle, and it can only travel at, what is it, Rick, 25 miles?
I actually haven't seen any specs on them, but
Oh, you have it?
in
Okay.
order to fly, it's got to reach a certain speed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
depending on how it's powered. But
And do you have to have a
It's
pilot's
electric.
license?
I don't even know. I know the FAA said yeah, but I don't know what the
It's a little
details
limited. It isn't exactly the same as a pilot license. So, whew.
I saw an animated video of that they put out of one of these cars driving down the highway, and there's a big wreck crossing the road, and it just goes up and over the wreck. I'm like, that's what I want. And I know that's what you want because you can do that at bridges.
He does bridges.
Right.
He does. Anyway, he's airborne when he comes to a bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, again, that number is 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget your anonymous feedback, where you can get in touch with us. We're on Facebook, YouTube, we're all over the place, so you do have access to us, and we have 2 hours, 2 exciting hours of a lot of information, and as I always say, you make the show. You guys are a very, very important part of this show. Ladies, don't forget, you can win yourself $50 this morning, and if you are a new female caller. That's the first 2 new female callers. And I want to take a minute and I want to thank Betty. Betty sent me a check for Big Dog Ranch. And Betty, we all thank you here. It looks like as if that you're just about as serious as we are with Big Dog Ranch. And I thank you for that, and I'll make sure that gets into the right hands. Also, we have Marshall who's coming in, and this is going to be quite an event. Marshall is a very large Dane.
Or not from
Are you sure he's
not
not
from
a horse? I
Denmark.
saw a picture. I think it's a horse.
Right. I think
Shetland pony.
our audience might, because he's not a Dane. He's not a gentleman from Denmark. It's a Great Dane.
Great
He
day.
is
It-
great.
Oh,
He's a
that's
Great Dane. He's four-legged with a tail, and he's going to be in here sneaking up behind me in about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. He's going to be looking for Stu.
Not, you don't want to be adopting him if you're in a small apartment. I don't think
Right.
he would accept that.
Exactly. He would object. I think he might make a mess of a very small apartment just by
Exactly.
moving around. You know, the bull in the china shop thing. It's a Great Dane in a studio.
So
Same
stay
idea.
tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. And we have another great mystery shopping report. And that comes to us from, I believe, North Huntington, Pennsylvania, which isn't too far off from, Irwin and a few other towns north of Pittsburgh. So, again, ladies, $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Take advantage of that. 877-960-9960. And you can text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go right to the phones where everyone is patiently waiting to speak to us. And we've got about 4 or 5 calls on hold. So we are going to take our first caller. We're going to try to keep each call brief, and we'll take advantage of every second. Jersey Mike, welcome back.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank
I want to say a few things. First, about Big Dog Ranch, I made a substantial donation because I adopted a dog for my roommate.
Oh, bless you.
Half
Thank
boxer
you.
and half. That's quite okay. It's well spent money. I have a boxer, pure breed, almost 100 pounds now. He's a big guy, and that's a female male. So they get together in my backyard, and it's hilarious what goes on. It's just absolutely hilarious. I've got films of it. It's unbelievable. Anyway, getting back to business and cars. Earl, I told you before, I said, you were one of the best guys I ever met. I bought a 2018 Hyundai from you, and you gave me the fax report on it, whatever that thing is called. And it was one owner, never leased. And I brought it up to 33,000 miles, never did anything in that car. And I gave it to my daughter who got married. That was a wedding present to them when I went ahead and bought another Cadillac instead for myself, okay?
Well,
So
that's
I was
good.
Fabulous.
very happy with the way you helped me out there, Earl. I recommend your location to anybody out there. You're going to get a fair shake if you go see Earl at Earl Stewart's car dealer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Now, you also advised me about working on my Cadillac because I had a problem with getting hot air out of one side of the air conditioner and good cold air only when I'm driving down a road out of the driver's side. So I turned the vents off on the right, and I was okay to get around. I got that finally fixed, believe it or not, for $110 at a place up in North Jersey because I just came back from North Jersey to see some friends and relatives up there. For $110, they diagnosed it to be what was called on the right-hand side, there's a power, they call it a power blower or power something or other. They replaced that for $110. They had to take the dashboard down or something like that. It took about 2 hours, or an hour and a half, and I got ice cold air coming out of there without having to put extra refrigerant in there. Matter of fact, I had the cans of refrigerant, and the gentleman there, and he was only recommended to me by true friends who have been dealing with him for decades, that he was the best mechanic around. And he fixed the whole thing for $110, and that was what was wrong with it. And worst thing I could have done was actually put more refrigerant in it, because you got to be very careful when you do that you don't over exceed, because you have to have the instruments to make sure that you're not putting too much in. And I don't have that instrument. Only mechanics have that.
Right.
Well,
The EPA is
that
going to
worked
get
out
you.
real well.
Yeah,
I was really happy about that.
that specialized machine is about for an inexpensive one, it's about $4,000 to $5,000, and the better machines can go as high as $10,000 to $12,000.
So it'd be less expensive to just replace your air conditioning system in
Right.
your car.
Wow.
All right, now here's my problem. I've had Cadillacs since 1978, new ones. I put 65, 70,000 on them each year in my own business. 3 years later, I'd burn them up around 190,000. I'd trade it for another one. That's when they made Cadillacs that were comfortable. You know, they had big engines, You know, they were like 4,800 pounds. This thing I have here is all plastic. I got a 2014 AST. The only thing that's metal on it is the hood, so it doesn't melt. Otherwise, everything on the car, you can go around with a magnet. There's no metal on that car. And it's very uncomfortable to drive. It's horrible. I have to wear.
Probably get better fuel economy though, right?
No,
No?
you would think so. No, I got a turbo in it. I don't get on it. I'm a very careful driver. I've never had a speeding ticket in my life. Okay, so but I move along. I can do whole shots of 75 if I have to. But anyway, my point simply is this: it only gets 22 miles to the gallon. Now,
You got to stop
Earl
driving
has already
Cadillacs.
advised me that. Let me just finish. He has advised me already on this car that when you come to a stoplight, you put on a brake. It rumbles, and he said, "Well, you got to clean the throttle
Throttle body.
throat and for the carbon or whatever's buildup." And that was done. And you know what? After it was done, it's even worse now. The vibration's even worse. So he said it could be motor mounts. Now that's the one thing I didn't look at yet.
Motor
what I'm
mouth.
thinking about is just getting rid of this piece of what I call CARP. Okay?
I think it's motor mouth.
This car,
I'm pretty
this car
sure.
is bad news. All right, it's just I can't get comfortable with the seat. I'm not a big guy.
You got to get back in there, man.
I'm just saying, it's uncomfortable. I have to put on that leather seat as opposed to the pillow seats that were in the older Cadillacs. That's why I bought them, and because I had to put that kind of mileage on in my business. The seat, I have to put my wheelchair pillow that's on my wheelchair on that seat in order to handle that seat. That's how bad that car is.
I think we have
I'm
Mary
big-
Barra, the CEO of GM, on the line to answer your questions.
Well, I'll tell you what. Whoever got, plus I got ripped off on the car. Okay? The molding on the inside of the car has fallen off. All the fake leather. It's not fake. It's fake leather. It's not leather. It just comes. I
Yeah.
got that crazy.
That seems to be like the whole, and everything's going to light materials, and it's cost cutting, and it's
horrible.
things
So
have
many-
things have changed.
Yeah, so many
Things have changed.
changes,
Motor
Jersey Mike. So many
that?
changes. We just, it's difficult to keep up. I've got about 5 phone calls behind you,
Okay,
and
real quick, one question I want to ask is, I want to go get an Escalade. And
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Wait,
Don't do it. It's plastic. It's cheap. It gets shitty gas. Oh my God.
Mike,
I'm
how
gonna
much
try
is it going to
getting-
cost you to keep that on the road? I'll leave you with that question. Please give us a
what was
call
it-
back. We
what
love
was that
talking
white
to
car?
you.
What was that white car that you told? What was the name of
Tesla
that
Y
white model car?
takes no gas. Tesla Model Y.
What was the name?
Tesla
it
Model
again.
Y.
Yeah,
I know,
take a
but-
look at it. The Model Y.
I didn't get the first
All
word.
right.
What's the
Talk to you
Tesla.
next
name?
week. Tesla
I
Model
think the
Y.
Model 3 is the cheapest, though.
Model 3 is the cheapest.
Yeah.
No,
It is
I want to know
definitely.
the name of the manufacturer of the car.
Tesla.
Yeah, definitely.
Tesla.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks a million, guys. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. You're welcome. We're going to talk to Jean, who has talked to us before, and thank you so much for your patience. Good morning, Jean.
Hi, good morning. Hope you all are doing well.
We are.
We are.
Good. I have a question about how manufacturers or how dealers can deal with manufacturers as to what cars, what type of cars and trucks they get into their dealership, how they are equipped, the colors, and that kind of thing. What kind of latitude do you have, and could it be specific to type of region where you live? and that
Yes,
kind of thing?
I can give you from the Toyota point of view, because we deal with this every day. Toyota decides based on their own research how many cars they're going to produce for a region like the United States, and each region within that gets allocated based on their sales. So it's called a turn and earn. They build a certain amount of cars based on how much they want to sell and how much they think will sell. And I'm also describing a time where there wasn't still a shortage of new vehicles for a lot of manufacturers on dealers' lots. But the dealers can't really just order what they want. They can, in a specific model line, they can preference. They can say, I would prefer to have mainly silver cars with no sunroofs, and I'm just making things up here. And that is taken into an account, but it's not a guarantee. So every 2 weeks for Toyota, we get allocations of a big batch of vehicles based on how well we did selling those models in the prior time period. Does any of this make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, and I guess it's not like European cars where I don't know if you still could, but you used to be able to actually order a car that you wanted, the color and all that stuff,
Correct.
specifically.
Things are
Okay,
so
but there's-
automated, and doing special things like for the big manufacturers are probably difficult, because even a direct order with a large manufacturer like Toyota, it's still using their production system. So it's going to try and match your order with something that's going to get built, and you're still kind of limited on everything. You can't like really build something to order. I mean, I think eventually with enough time you probably could.
Yeah, but you as dealers do have some kind of a say about, somewhat of a say.
Somewhat, yeah. Basically, it's you raise your
By
hand
what
for
you're selling.
preferences, yeah.
And what the demand is in your area. And one other question I have for Rick, a quick one. I don't know, I read this years ago, and I think I've been doing it a couple of times. With the air conditioner, I'll have it on, and I hate to have it on when I get it into the garage with all the water and everything. So I turn it off, and what I do is I put the fan on without the AC. Is that a good idea? Does that help anything? Does that dry anything in the system?
Yes, it does. That will actually stop the flow of the refrigerant through the evaporator core, and the temperature on it will begin to come up a little bit, and that'll reduce the amount of condensation that will build up there, and the fan blowing on it will help keep the water off of it, so you won't have as much dripping down into the garage when you get home.
Right. That's what I do. And also, would it help with the odor of mold or something like that? Does that help with that as well?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So it's a good thing to keep doing.
Yes, you're doing a great job.
Hey-
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
Thank
Jean.
you all so much. Yes.
It's Nancy Stewart. I want to commend you on being an educated consumer. That's just amazing. There's not a whole lot of our people that we deal with directly that would do something like that. And I certainly hope that you call again and spread the word to the other ladies to give us a call here. We're building a huge platform at this point.
I will, and I think you grew up the kind of the way I did. My dad was always into cars and stuff. I had two brothers, but yet I like cars better than they did. And I had some neat cars growing up when I was younger, so I can relate to that.
Oh, I recall you now, because we talked a lot about cars, and the fact that you grew up, being part of all that culture.
Yeah. So,
Jean?
okay, thank you very much. Hope you have a nice weekend.
Hope to hear
Appreciate it.
from you soon. Thank you, Jean.
Okay.
We're going to go to Les, who's been holding, and he is calling from Boynton Beach. Good morning, Les.
Yes, good morning. How are you today?
We're great, thank you.
All right, well, thank you for taking my call. I know you're kind of busy, so I'll get right to it. I have a 2017 Sonata. At one point, I was just driving the car, and I got three lights on my dashboard. One for the anti-lock brakes, the electronic stability control, and the blind spot mirror. Now, the blind spot mirror will light up when I start the car, but it doesn't really work after that. So my question is, why did all of these happen possibly at the same time? And since I have to take it into the dealer to have it fixed, what am I looking at as far as repairs?
A lot of these systems all work together and use similar sensors. So sometimes we'll get what's called a sympathetic code. When one system sees a problem, the other systems will actually activate their lights, and they'll save the information. It'll trigger a trouble code in that system as well, and it saves all the data that those sensors are seeing, and it makes it easier for the technician to diagnose the problem when they're going in to look for it if they've got more information in multiple systems. As for the cost of it, most places will usually run around a 1 hour diagnostic charge to look at it and give you a basic idea of what you're looking at. I would figure anywhere from about $100 to $150 for them to connect the scan tool, pull all that data down, and give you a basic interpretation. And odds are, because it's a dealership, they've probably seen that exact same thing happen 5 or 6 times before. If it's a good technician, he could pretty much diagnose it right off the bat with that 1 hour's time, and have a pretty good idea of what the solution will be that'll take care of it for you.
All right. Another, I guess, a similar question is, I bought the car used, and it came from White Plains, New York. And you look at the fax report, and everything was okay. But I always wondered if there was a possibility it might have been in a flood, and that might have caused all these issues. Is that a possibility?
That is it's always a possibility. It's a slim one, but it can be there. Obviously, it may not always show up on the paperwork in the car, like the Carfax and all that. People find ways to get around that. Some of the things you can do is kind of get down with a flashlight, look underneath the seat of the car, look and see if there's any signs of rust. Pull up the carpeting in the trunk, down where the spare tire is, and look down at all those little cubbies down in there. Look for any signs of rust or corrosion. It's hard to tell if the car, months later, as to whether there was any flood issues. But if it's been more than 4 or 5 months and the car hasn't had any issues crop up from it, then you're usually pretty safe on water. Water damage has usually caused problems within the first month or so.
Usually.
Okay, yeah, that didn't happen, so that's okay. All right. Okay, very good. Well, I think that's answered all my questions.
Oh,
Well,
thank you.
you for your show. I've learned a lot from it. I'm not in the market for buying a car, but my son is, and a lot of the information that you've given, I've relate to him, and it's going to help him out a lot. So
That's great.
Thanks again for your show, and I'll be a continual listener.
Thanks for calling us.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
All
Les. We're glad to be part of that buying decision. We're going to go to John in Palm City, who is a regular caller. Good morning, John.
Good morning to everyone. I just want to mention that if you live in other part of Florida or anywhere in the country, you get frightened really to buy a car in South Florida. But we do mention the good dealers, and there are plenty of them, JMM, Lexus, Mullinex, but it seems like a majority of them are shady. And we proved that like with Nableton. But I just want to mention, I want to give a heads up for a dealer as a philanthropist. Unfortunately, he passed away in September of 2020. He started his dealerships in 1972 with Honda, I believe. It was 1 month in business. He was the largest Honda dealer in the United States. I'm sure Earl must know him because he was close in age. He was only 78 when he died, and it was called Rick Case. He started in 1981, Bikes for Kids. All his 14 dealers, you dropped off your old bike, they repaired them, and they donated to Boys and Girls Club. In 2015, he was a sponsor of Toys for Tots. It continues on and on with him. They have a show in March, which, by the way, his wife still runs it. It's in Boca. It's an exclusive show. All the proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Club of Broward County. And it's just, he's a fantastic philanthropist. I'm sure that Earl knew him, and I believe that his wife still runs the dealerships.
Yes.
I think she's
Yeah.
still CEO. So I have
Yeah.
to mention that this philanthropy of this man, which was unbelievable, and it all started in 81 when he repaired the bikes at their expense. You dropped them off at the dealers, and they donated to the Boys and Girls Club to fix bikes.
Yeah.
So I just want to give a shout-out to people that they know. They're all great dealers. Maybe he's passed on, but his legend continues, and his wife continues with the philanthropy.
John, thank you so much. Rick Case was a fabulous person, and that journey, as you said, began so long ago, and it was just amazing that he made so many children happy, and I'm sure Earl has something to say about Rick.
No, just the fact that his wife Rita, she was very influential throughout his whole career. She was really the business end of things. Rick was the salesperson. Rick was he was marketing, and his personality really exuded. And he's largely responsible for the volume they did. The fact that, as you say, he was one of the largest Honda dealers. But his wife Rita, I mean, she was the power behind the throne there. She really controlled the finances and the expenses, and I think a lot of the profit that they made, and which subsequently went to, as you say, to charities. He's made some great donations to Cleveland Clinic. I think he has a wing at the Cleveland Clinic, the Rick Case wing.
He has a cafeteria.
The cafeteria,
his name's everywhere.
And so Rita Case, she doesn't get mentioned often enough. She's running things now, but she really ran things before too. But she's a great woman.
Well, it continues with Nancy Stewart, the voice behind Earl Stewart and Big Dog Ranch. So it continues. There are many great people out there, such as Earl and Nancy and Rick and his wife, who traditionally carries on for him.
Thank you so much, John. That was quite a compliment.
My pleasure. Guys, you keep up your good work.
Thank you. We enjoy your conversation and we enjoy your calls every week. You're always here to inform us. Our number is 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget your anonymousfeedback.com. And the second half of the show, we're going to have Marshall in. He's a Great Dane, and he's about 2 years old, and he is coming in to entertain us and to greet Stu, I believe. He told me that he knows him personally. Isn't that right, Stu?
That's what I
Marshall
hear.
knows you.
That's what I hear.
Word on the street. Okay, we're going to go to Eric, who's in Fort Pierce, and I believe you may be a first-time caller, Eric, or have you called us before?
It's been a while, definitely. I've had a lot of life changes to deal with, but I'm still up and right and standing and running, no problem. The big issue I had was, and I touched base and exchanged texts with Earl briefly. He made some recommendations. I don't know how well some of them were received. Basically, I'll go ahead and name them. This is Bev Smith, Kia in Fort Pierce. And my car is subject to a recall, a National Transportation Safety Board recall that Toyota has been mandated. I mean, I keep calling it Toyota. Kia has been mandated to, call in people and notify them that their engines have a possibility of catching fire.
Right.
And that it's an engine replacement program.
Is this the same as the oil consumption recall?
No, I'm not sure. It's It's been a while since I looked up all the what's and wheres of it, but
Right.
I think there was part of it which I first noticed it last week when my car started a little tapping, and I thought, oh no, my valve's bad, and then it started. This deal wouldn't go over like 25 miles an hour, and I got to work and I just started, on breaks and lunch trying to figure out what the heck I can do about this, and my efforts to get them to provide any type of relief have been met with just total confusion and incompetence, in my opinion. But
Is that all at the same dealership?
Yeah. Well, the deal is, in this area, I would have to drive 20 miles south to Stewart, where there's a Wallace Kia. I'd have to drive 20 miles north to Vero Beach.
Right.
There are, we're not a big multi-populated area up here. But long story short is, they're supposed to provide me with a rental car. And I've got like 5 strips of met texts going back and forth with, I called Enterprise and they can't get it. They don't have any available. And I went online that morning and they showed a compact car available. So I'm not going to go and rent one if they can provide it. And if push comes to shove, by yesterday afternoon, I'm like, I got to get home. Yeah. So anyway, I went and rented my own car. Hopefully I'll get reimbursed for it. I have to have a car.
Terrible.
Second of all, the deal with the engine, they're saying we can't get the engine. It's on back order.
Right.
So that may or may not be legitimate. But
it's likely because that's what's happening everywhere. Earl referenced that earlier with parts. Yeah.
Could have been alleviated by them working on a little bit. And this guy's going on, and I can't do this, I can't do that. And
I think you got to go down, go down to Wallace. It's only, like you said, 20 minutes from you.
I'd have to yank the car out.
Yeah, listen, you have a warranty situation and a back order in part, so it's already difficult to begin with. If you have a dealership that doesn't have a good relationship with the manufacturer, they don't get the type of attention. If they don't have an energetic enough service manager or service and parts director to be on the phone pushing Kia to get the parts and get these cars to their shop, there's a big difference between dealerships. So you're not just dealing with Kia, you're dealing with Bev Smith Kia, and there's other Kia dealerships not that far from you that might handle the situation better for you.
Yeah, a lot of it's the trust between the dealer and the manufacturer. You know, we talk a lot on the show about consumers being taken advantage of by car dealers. Manufacturers are taken advantage of too. And what Stu is saying is the manufacturers have dealers they know they can trust. And if a service manager can call the manufacturer and explain the situation and recommend a repair that the factory representative knows is at least honest, if it isn't accurate, but probably accurate too, he can get action for the customer a lot faster. You can imagine a lot of dealers out there, not only do they cheat their customers, they cheat the manufacturer with phony warranty claims. You know, there was a dealer here in Palm Beach County, Napleton. I've talked about him for years. I think it was a Nissan manufacturer. He had several franchises. Was trying to cancel his franchise because he was deliberately blowing up engines of customers' cars so that he could fix them and be reimbursed by Nissan. So this type of behavior creates a real problem for you, the customer, because you're dealing with a dealer. You think you're dealing with a manufacturer, but you're not really, because he doesn't have a good relationship. So Stu's advice is perfect. Try a different dealer. Wallace is a good way to go because Wallace has a reputation with the manufacturers of being honest.
Can I read you just one little paragraph, short bit of what I looked it up on the text?
Sure.
This is what the guy is telling me. To be clear, a rental under this guideline is classified as a courtesy transportation, not owed and obligated to anyone.
Oh.
It is dependent on the availability of a car, which Bev Smith Kia does not have, neither does Enterprise. And I will be more happy to fill my management team. And I don't know, this guy
that's exactly the type of thing that is that a good manager would push to get you a rental car. You know, he would push. They'd put you in a used car. They would do something for you. You got to get to another dealership. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if I got to try to contact the service manager. You know, because I got what a friend of mine originally sent me was photocopies of the original recall. You know, I mean, but they're on my phone, which is really hard to get them out of there. You know,
get in touch with Wallace first, because if they get the job, it's a big paying warranty job from Kia. So to pay $150 to tow your car, they'll probably pick up the tow bill for you if they're going to get the job.
Well, this is, you know, I mean, that's what Kia has been totally unresponsive about offering me solutions.
Yeah.
You know, where I have to lay out money, and I just laid out money, and it's impossible. Now I have either a Monday afternoon, I either have to extend this car rental thing.
Yeah, it could get worse. So you need to, just nip it, cut cords now.
Tell the folks at Wallace that you're a friend of Earl Stewart, and Earl Stewart recommends you call him. Bill Wallace and I go way back. I've known him for 30 or 40 years, and just tell him you're my buddy, and I ask you to ask him to take care of you.
Eric,
thank you very much.
You're welcome, Eric, and we feel your pain, and it's a terribly frustrating situation. And it's easy enough to say patience, but following Stu's instructions is going to take you a long way. And it's amazing that this is July the 8th, 2023, and we're still talking about part shortages. We're talking about chip shortages. I mean, things are easing up, but we're nowhere where we should be. Thank you, Eric. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and our text number is 772-497-6530, and we're going to listen to what Rick has to say about this.
On that note of a rental car, I know of one case where we had a car that needed an engine ECM, the computer, and it was under a safety recall, so we actually had to hold on to the customer's car. Toyota covered the rental car. That vehicle stayed on our lot waiting for that computer to arrive for 6 months.
Yeah.
The customer was in
Can't
a
make
rental
this
car
up.
for 6 months waiting on that part.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, it's a rarity, but it does happen
It
that
does
way.
happen.
And the rental car was covered by Toyota, so
Yeah.
that's
The person that owns that vehicle doesn't want to hear about the, rarity. It's just, it's amazing. 877-960-9960, and don't forget youranonymousfeedback.com. We're going to go to Phil in Jupiter. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning. I just wanted to ask you a question. I know this car is hard to find, but can you order a Prius Prime yet at your dealership?
Yes, but most of those cars being produced are going to California, and it's a needle in a haystack to get one. So it's a very long wait for it. Just considering the number of people who are have an order in, and it's most likely, model years will change. I mean, until there's a major increase. We know what the production plan is for the rest of this year, and it's just onesies, twosies. So it's going to be a while, and it's a shame.
Like over a year or something?
Yeah, over a year.
Yeah,
I would, maybe 18 months. It's a shame because the plug-in hybrids are such a great interim step for people that are afraid to go into a full electric vehicle, who are worried about charging and range. Because you use a plug-in as an electric vehicle when you're in town, and you only use the gas if you're going longer than 40, 50 miles.
And I've got a regular Prius now, 2017, and I wanted to upgrade, but I just figured that would be the case. But what about the regular new Prius? I mean, is that readily available?
The new body style, the 2023 Prius, it's a totally redesigned body. It looks pretty cool. Right now, the production is still pretty low. It's we're not getting a lot of them.
Bad time to buy a car. To
Yeah.
be honest with you, just not it's been a bad time for the past almost 3 years. If you can avoid it, wait. But if you can't, you have to compromise. It's very unlikely you'll be able to get the specific model, year, make, equipped car you want. You'll have to compromise in color or model or even make if you want a car within a reasonable amount of time. There are cars out there that if you have to have it, as Stu said, we had one customer call this show regularly, waited 14 months, over a year for a car, and when the car came in,
he didn't want it.
He didn't want it because they changed something. I think it was a headrest, and didn't take it. That's a horror story. Yeah. But 3 months.
Well, Marty was
typical.
okay. Marty enjoyed the whole process. Anyway.
Yeah, Marty was amazing.
The Prius, the new body style, it's been out for a few months, and I think we've delivered 6 in the last several months, and that's not because we don't know how to sell cars. We just can't. That's all we can get so far. But it would be faster to get that new Prius than the Prius Prime. So keep that in mind. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, good. I just wanted to find out what the story was on that. Appreciate it. And you mentioned the price on the Tesla Model Y, $30-some thousand. I mean, is that?
It's an S, I think. Model S.
Model 3.
And that's
Model 3.
Model 3. Yeah. I'm sorry, Model 3. And that's in Colorado because they just added a $5,000 rebate. The Model 3 qualifies for the $7,500 Tesla rebate. Colorado just hit a $5,000 rebate, so you got $12,500. And then the Model S was reduced in price recently by Tesla, so you can buy a Model S. What was the number? $27,000.
$27,000 after
which
you
is,
subtract the incentives.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh,
thanks
is right.
For the info.
Yep. You can also buy a used one for a lot less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate the information.
Thank you, Phil.
You got it.
We're going to go to Norman, who is calling us from Delray. Good morning, Norman.
Good morning. I want to give a shout out to Coggin Acura. I bought my MDX online over the phone through them. I contacted 10 different dealers in Palm Beach, and they're a waste of your time.
So which one did you finally get?
I got an MDX.
No, at which Acura dealer?
Coggin.
Coggin Acura, okay.
It's Fort Pierce, Florida. These guys are really upstanding up front. They gave me a list of all the charges before I bought the vehicle. Tax, etc., etc. And they stood by their deal.
And they didn't change it. That's
Pretty
all you can
amazing.
ask for. That's pretty
and
good.
And then I sold them my used Lexus 460. They gave me a price over the phone, and they honored it when they picked it up. Really, crazy good.
Well, that gets like a B plus or an A from if it was a mystery
Oh,
shopping report. Yeah.
It's
You give
an
an A?
for sure. A plus.
A plus. Okay.
I think Coggan's owned by a public company. Now, I knew the
Yes, they
original
are.
Coggan, Luther Coggan. He was a Pontiac dealer many,
Luther
many,
Coggan.
many years ago.
Sounds like a villain's name,
Yeah,
doesn't
Luther.
it? Luther Coggan.
Yeah, they have, I think, 20 dealerships, Texas, Florida,
Yeah.
but really legitimate guys. It was like, I was blown away that they were so honest.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever mystery shopped him up there. That's good to hear.
Yep, I just wanted to pass the information
Well, we got a lot of
along.
listeners on the Treasure Coast there that are listening right now. So there we go. Now we can't certify your endorsement, but we
course
can.
not.
We'll put it out there, and we'll
I
probably
would
follow it
make
up with the shop. Yeah.
I would certainly make a suggestion to give them an opportunity.
All right.
Because the dealers in Palm Beach and Delray and Boca and Pompano, they're not worth the salt they've written on. It's crazy.
It's very dangerous. Yeah.
Outrageous.
Very dangerous.
Agent Lightning, if you're
Outrageous is the
listening.
right. Outrageous is certainly the right word.
Well, that's the word we can use on the radio.
Yep. Thank you very much. I love your show. You guys are great. It's a real education. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Norman.
Norman. Thank you. Thank you very much to all of you out there. If you didn't hear me earlier, we definitely appreciate you, the listeners, the callers, Facebook, YouTube. You are a huge part of the show. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget, we have a great mystery shopping report coming up from North Huntington, Pennsylvania, and we do have Big Dog Ranch coming in again today, and we are going to be entertained by a Great Dane.
Marshall.
Marshall
the dog.
Marshall. Okay. Guys, what you have?
Oh, I'd like to kick off Anne-Marie's, her text here, because I got a few backed up. But Anne-Marie says, good morning, good news. Jalopnik reports that the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, hit an extended warranty company with a $6.6 million judgment, and the company faces a lifetime ban on outbound marketing and selling vehicle warranties. According to the FTC, a company called Cole Consulting Group, which ran America Vehicle Protection, scammed consumers out of millions of dollars by selling what was claimed to be bumper-to-bumper coverage. Ooh, that happens in car dealerships, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The policy cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, offered a protection that was anything but. The article goes on to point that there are other potential scammers still out there. The article suggests that if you do get a call offering you an extended warranty, hi, I'm calling about your car's extended warranty. Just hang up. No, Amory says tell them that your car is really old or really expensive, and they'll quickly hang up. And Amory wants to know if we have any suggestions on getting these scammers to stop calling or just to hang up. That's what I say, hang up.
You can play with them, and Nancy enjoys torturing them. But and you can either entertain yourself by torturing them, or the best thing to do is hang up and try to put them on a call block. I mean, if your smartphone works that way, every time I get a ridiculous call, I block that caller from future.
I do the same thing.
It depends on what you want, and most of the time for me, as I depend on what form of torture I use.
You want revenge.
They don't call me back.
You want payback. That's what you want.
I just let them know we can do this the easy way.
It's a deterrent.
Or the hard way.
Yeah, like Earl said, most of the smartphones, at least I know the iPhone, like a lot of them it says possible spam. If it comes from weird, listen, if you don't typically get calls from odd area codes, it's just your grandkids calling you. Don't answer the 7, 8, 9 area codes, and they're mostly scam. But that's a good one, Anne-Marie. That's definitely what's going on.
Yeah, thank you, Anne-Marie.
Paul in Lake Worth heard us talking about those flying cars, and he says, flying cars? Stupid. If people can't drive, how can you expect them to fly without catastrophe? Just look at how many people drive cars into houses on the ground. Yeah, I had somebody drive in my house on the ground about 15 years ago.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, somebody really did crash into my house. Nobody was hurt. But the flying cars, I answered him seriously. I think Paul might think I was kidding. I'm pretty sure that these flying cars are autonomous, that it's like a drone where it has a set track. And if you've ever seen these drone shows, they're incredibly precise. I don't think they're going to let everybody just start flying around randomly around tall buildings.
Believe it or not, you have to have more. You have to take a test and have more certification to fly a drone right now, a little bitty 2-pound drone, than you do to fly one of those ultralight airplanes.
Oh, really?
The ultralights look like a canvas kite with a chainsaw motor.
Yeah.
Anybody can fly one of those without any licensing whatsoever.
Wow.
But you have to have a special license.
That's
if
what I
you're gonna
think
fly
Paul.
a drone.
That's what I think Paul might be imagining is just people just kind of like in these
Like the
things.
Jetsons, kind of a.
I saw some videos.
Terrifying.
In fact, seriously, they showed their vision of what these things would look like, and I've seen other flying taxi things in Dubai. They already use these, and I've seen like real life videos of these autonomous taxis. They're flying taxis. They're basically drones that humans ride in, and there's no pilot. They said
Well, certain areas, if you're out in the wide open plains of the West, I think it's a great idea. But
well,
I wouldn't.
They communicate with each other. They form lanes, virtual lanes in the air.
Well, pretty soon you're going to have a bumper to bumper in the air, and if I got to be bumper to bumper, I want to be on the ground. I don't want to have I don't want to have a problem at 1,000 feet.
No, that's how I feel about flying in general.
Yeah, exactly. And Rick, to what you said about the drones, it's amazing the restrictions. I was reading about that. They're really. Was it always that tight, or are they tightening up?
Well, the FAA. This would be a whole thing. We won't even get anywhere near to it. But the FAA started out when drones first started getting out there. They said we had to do something. So they determined that drones are considered an aircraft, an airplane, just like
well, the reason they did that, think about it. Everybody can get a drone. They're cheap, and if you had 200 million drones, people playing with them, you would be knocking down aircraft.
Oh
and,
yeah. You have to have a tail number. Like I have a tail number on my drone. You get assigned a tail number. You have to put the sticker on your drone.
And so, folks, if you're looking at getting into drones, go to the FAA website on drones and read all of that
And they'll
before
change
you
your
do
mind.
anything.
Yeah.
Take my
Be a
word
little
for
more
it.
involved than you
I've
anticipate.
got several of them, and you have to follow the rules.
Yeah, you're pretty experienced. Do you have more for us, Stu?
Yeah, I got one from John. John says, "Good morning. My question is on Hyundai engine oil consumption. I have a 2020 Palisade. I have had my engine go so low on oil to the point I thought I might have done damage to it. I also know there's a lawsuit going on due to the engine issues. What's your take on this? Thanks in advance. I do know that there's a recall on the oil consumption, and there is a big class action. This is all happening now with Kias and Hyundais. I don't think that we're like intimately familiar with the details of it, but it sounds like you're in a situation along with hundreds of thousands or possibly millions of other people.
Here's a dirty little secret about the whole industry, including Toyota. You would be surprised the tolerances. When you manufacture something, no car comes off the assembly line exactly like the other car that just came off. Everything has got tolerances, and the engineers decide what it's going to be. So when they built your car, whatever it was, they said oil consumption can vary between A and B. Now, the problem isn't with that, because that's just the way manufacturing goes. The problem is the distance. And Rick would probably know better than I, but with a Toyota, you can buy a Toyota that will go 5 or 10 times further without an oil change than another Toyota, and they're both within tolerances. To me, that's not right.
You could have one car come off the assembly line, the very next car come off the assembly line, and if you track the oil consumption on those two vehicles, one can go 10,000 miles and use a tablespoon of oil. The next one could go 10,000 miles and use 4 quarts of oil.
Okay.
And they're still within what the engineers say is the specification. It says in the owner's manual that's in the glove box that your car may use up to 1 quart of oil per 1,000 miles.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's crazy. And the other side of it too is that oils now, the synthetic oils, are getting much thinner and thinner and thinner as we go.
And more expensive.
The weight of oil used to be, back in the 50s and 60s, everyone was running 30 or 40 weight motor oil, and that was referring to the viscosity, how thick the oil was. The lower the number, the thinner the oil. We now have oil 0W20, 0W16 in a lot of cars, and some of the newest ones coming out, 0W8, which is almost the thickness of like cooking oil.
Or you can buy an electric car,
Olive
and
oil.
you don't ever have to have an oil change. So,
There you go, too. Yeah.
so but this tolerance thing, I think that's one of the dirty little secrets of all the manufacturers. If you really want to be careful when you buy a car, find out before you sign on the dotted line what is the oil change at which what is the oil consumption at which you have a problem. And if as Rick just said, I think what'd you say, 1,000?
1 quart every 1,000.
1 quart every 1,000 miles. That's ridiculous.
But the problem is they use that as what's called a weasel clause. That's their lawyer term,
Yeah.
that it lets them weasel out of a problem later on. You won't know until
Is that a
you
legal
started
term,
driving
weasel?
that car.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it is. Yeah. We
Figures.
love the mechanics love the weasel clause.
Yeah.
But you won't know until you've been driving that car for a while, and you say you're someone that does check your oil relatively often, and you've driven the car for 10,000 miles. So now you check your oil, and you notice, okay, that oil level stays perfect right at the top. No matter when I check it, it's always
there
right.
should be a Federal
You
Trade
got a good
Commission standard that oil change can be in the manufacturers of a particular car cannot vary between this further than between this and this. It doesn't make sense that buyer one goes into a dealership and gets a car that can get what's really good for a complete mileage on a one filling of oil.
A 10,000 mile interval and uses maybe a cup at the most.
Yeah, and somebody
A
else
few
comes
ounces.
comes in, and he's going to have to get his oil added every week, or every month.
Well, yeah, every month, every 2 months.
Based on how much he drives. It shouldn't be. There should be a law against it, and the weasel clause, that's what it is. So you lawyers out there, class action suit, go get them. Go get the manufacturers.
There you
Of
go.
course, as you say, once we've reached the point with electric cars, it'll become a moot point.
Exactly.
And the best part, once we've got the autonomous cars, and you won't even have to own a car.
Yeah.
I hope that happens in my lifetime. I would love the idea of
Okay.
not having to own a car.
Absolutely. Ladies, if you didn't hear when after Earl opened the show this morning, we both are here to tell you you're an important part of the show, ladies. And for that, we want to encourage you to give us a call. Help us build the platform here for ladies, and we have done just that. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can win yourself $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Now back to Stu.
Okay, we have more text, knocking them down here. We have, let's see. Oh, this was interesting. Robbie in Stuart, longtime listener, sent over an article that he saw about Toyota's breakthrough on solid-state batteries. I let him know that we had inside word, several weeks ago through our Toyota rep that Toyota was close to announcing this. Now, whether this is part of the strategy of their big shift to EV or it's legit, but Toyota has announced that they had a major breakthrough in battery technology, going away from the lithium-ion battery, which uses liquid, all that stuff can catch on fire, all the charging, how long it takes to charge all that. They have a solid-state battery that they're going to put in production in the next couple of years, 750-mile range, possibly up to 1,000-mile range, that charges in about 10 minutes.
Wow.
So if that's true and it's proprietary, it doesn't matter that Toyota was so late to the game because that changes the game.
Well, they've offered that technology to somebody else. I read that the other day. They're not going to hoard that technology. They will share it.
They will share it?
Yeah.
Maybe they could give themselves a 5-year head start. That would be nice for Toyota
Just like
dealers.
Elon Musk sharing the Chargers. I mean, you have to do this. When you do this,
It helps
you
everybody.
win the trust and the goodwill of
Right,
the
but
buyers.
the whole industry rises and it benefits himself. What's up, Rick?
Are they going to put that in a better looking car than the BZ4X?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I
And
think
hopefully have a better name.
they've all acknowledged that. They've acknowledged that the names are bad. The name's bad. The car's bad. So they had to get out
horrible.
there. But yes, that is normal. They're in September. They're going to be announcing to a bunch of all these new vehicles publicly, and so can't wait to see it. But thanks, Robbie. It is really cool. Even though we're toy dealers and all that, I'm actually hoping that they put that in my phone, because if you have something like that in your phone, you might have a never charge phone. It's a phone that you never have to charge.
Wow. What a thought.
Lee, okay, I have one from Lee. Says, can you provide information about the fuel pump customer support program 23TE01? It's about the fuel order in and around the engine bay of Avalons between 17 and 21. So these are customer support programs from Toyota. They're beyond the TSB that we talk about. It's actually like they give you an extra warranty. Sometimes they go very far out in time. I think in these cases it goes in like 2036 or something like that. So you don't have to do anything except for bring it into any Toyota dealership, and it will be fixed free of charge. And it's a fuel pump issue. Have you fixed many of those?
We actually, there was a campaign for replacing fuel pumps.
T04.
A lot of cars.
Yeah, I didn't recognize this number. I recognized the 23T, but I saw 23TE04 is a bunch of cars, and those fall into it with the fuel pumps.
Yeah, and they have come out with so many different numbers now. It's impossible to memorize them all, because one campaign might have 6 different numbers referring to it.
A lot of these customer support things come out of legal action. So there could have been a lawsuit where the manufacturer was not acknowledging a problem, and they were sued, and the court says, well, now you have to fix it. So in these cases...
The advice to the customers is this. The dealers don't know what's wrong with your car. It's almost up to you to do the research. And there's also the technical bulletins that go out.
Yep.
And
they don't advertise these.
Yeah, they don't advertise.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, the manufacturers don't allow the dealers to advocate a particular repair. They can't say, "Oh, have you checked this?"
Well, on the CSP, the customer service program, where it's that extended warranty, they do send mailers to the customer.
No, I'm
to tell
talking
them.
about the advisory bulletins.
Right. Yeah, no,
if you what I'm saying is, go online, Google your make model car and ask about any issues, and then you will find out that there are certain issues that the manufacturers openly acknowledge but don't publicize.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, you'll find out what is publicized, what's not publicized. So when you go into your dealer, if you say, I have this wobble in my steering wheel, and that happens to be one of these issues that the manufacturer has told the dealer, this might happen with a car. If you bring it up, then the dealer can investigate and fix it without getting in trouble with the manufacturer.
But a similar case, the Toyota Prius, 2010 through I think 2016, has what's known as an IPM. It's a power module computer inside the inverter that helps control the hybrid system. That unit is now under an extended warranty by Toyota for 20 years from the date of first use of that car, unlimited mileage. So if your car has an issue with the hybrid system, have it checked at the dealer, and odds are that's what's going to be causing it. If you get a warning that says hybrid system failure, see your dealer on your dash. If that's the issue, 20 years, unlimited mileage,
but they don't
Toyota will fix that.
But they don't notify the customers.
They actually did send out mailers on this one to the customers to let them know, yes.
But they're not big flashy TV advertisements.
U.S. mail.
It's not, come on down on TV or anything like that. All right, I have anonymous feedback from Australia, and then I will relinquish.
Cool.
This came in from, Earl mentioned earlier, from Queensland, Australia. It came in all capital letters, so this is a very upset Australian. I have had my airbag warning light on for the past 10 months with my 2013 CRV. It's a Honda CRV. My warning light is on all the time. I'm starting to get into an Australian accent. When I took the car, to a local Honda dealer in Hervey Bay, Queensland, Australia, they charged me $75 Australian dollars for nothing, and they told me nothing and fixed nothing. They didn't fix your caps lock either. No, I was kidding. Sorry. Hey, thank you. Wow. What do you think, Rick?
Well, first off,
before Rick thinks, I just have to go. I have to wane to my personal story because my roommate at Purdue University was studying for his PhD in parasitology, and he was from North Queensland, Australia.
Okay.
And he flew an airplane from ranch to ranch, and to take care of the cows and.
Right.
And
the kangaroos.
he knew all about kangaroos. I was just
How about the koala bears?
I just digress. I mean, it's my show. I'll digress if I want to.
Absolutely.
Has nothing to do with cars, but Bruce Copeman was his name, and it was just a.
You shouldn't have said that.
Why?
You just outed your mystery shopping persona. Earl's used the name Bruce Copeman in his internet mystery shopping for as long as I've been in the as long as there's been
that's
internet
true. I
mystery
forgot
shopping.
about that. Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, Rick, what do you think's going on?
first thing I'd be doing is right back in that service manager's office saying, where's my diagnosis?
Right.
I paid you for a diagnosis. I want the diagnosis, or I want my
literally,
money
you
back.
want to see the printout that the computer said when they ran and put
Exactly.
the car. All right.
I want to know what needs to be done to fix this car, or if you're not going to do that, I want my money back, and then I'd go elsewhere. Airbag situation.
That's very serious.
On a Honda, this is something that any dealership should be able to diagnose quickly, straightforward, and if the light is on, it's on for a
The
reason.
problem is that in that area of Australia, the dealerships are about 1,000 miles apart. So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah. I don't really. Yeah, I don't know what the density is in Queensland. Okay. So the dealership. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I'm sorry. I lost my brain for a second because you're not in the United States, but I'm sure the federal government of Australia, because I know you have a federal system, probably has a traffic safety equivalent as our NTSB, and go online and see if you can run your vehicle identification number and see if there's any recalls that's been issued in Australia for the car, because we had a big situation. I know it's global because it's a Honda, and we had a big issue in Honda CR-Vs, especially old ones like that. You have a high chance that there is a Takata airbag inflator in your car. So hopefully Australia is on the ball with this and find out if you have any dangerous recalls too. Not to make you worry about more things, but it's important.
I wonder where you heard us or watched us or.
I don't know.
Well, right off of Google here, it shows 3 different Honda dealers in Queensland, Australia. One is in Wollongabba.
Do you have any idea how big Queensland is?
Don't make fun of Wollongabba. We got Okeechobee
I
and
just know the
Woolloomooloo.
names here. The other one is in Newstead, and the other one is in Indurapilli.
Yeah, I'm driving down to Opalaka today. I mean,
I thought I'd just take
Sorry.
a quick look.
Yeah, you know,
I
when,
mean,
when you
it is the case. I know it's a very large country,
Oh, it's huge.
Australia.
let me tell you.
Queensland
It's like Texas.
is Queensland is huge.
yeah, huge.
Yeah.
And Earl will,
There's a lot of outback. You've heard about the outback. That's all.
yeah,
I'd like to visit.
and being
Now,
there.
A ranch out there, here we measure ranches in acres. In Queensland, they measure the ranches in square miles. So you'll have you know how big 50 square miles is. I mean, the ranches out there would be,
It's bigger than 50 acres.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
bigger,
Amazing
bigger, lot
place,
bigger.
for sure. Amazing. We're going to go back to the phones real quick. I'm going to interrupt Stu for a moment, and Rick has a few YouTubes for us. We're going to go to Jason in West Palm Beach. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. How are you?
We're great, thank you. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. My buddy Frank out in Jupiter Farms told me about your radio station, and I've been listening.
Oh, fantastic.
35. You guys got some pretty good information. I'm a technician for almost 10 years now, so
Oh,
you are putting in a lot of good information out there.
you work
I
on
just
all
have,
cars? You don't work for a dealer? You're an independent technician?
Well, I started independent when I was 14, and I work for Mercedes now. So
Oh, good for you.
yeah,
Great
so
cars.
my question for you is, are you guys familiar with BG services?
Yep. Very well
Is that
familiar.
Okay. How do you guys feel about that?
We don't use them.
Good.
For the most part, BG, for those wondering, it's a company that makes different, shall we say, flushes and chemicals, and for the most part, it's snake oil. It's blue smoke and mirrors.
That's a good name, snake oil.
These are the chemicals that this company BG will send their advisors around, their salesmen around to dealerships and automotive shops and try to get them to sell their products. And it's things that you'll siphon into the engine that's supposed to help clear up the carbon deposits, additives for the fuel, additives for the transmission, the oil, the coolant, all this stuff. And really, most of it is not necessary. Now, if you've got some cars that are under extreme conditions, yes, sometimes those additives can have an effect on it, but for the most part, it's just snake oil. And the most famous thing that BG did was inside each of their cans of chemical, there's a little plastic coin that the technicians would then save. And these coins, they would collect them, and the BG guy would come around like once a month or once every couple months, and they would give you $2 for each one of those little coins that helped encourage the technicians to sell this snake oil.
So they're bribing the technicians to tell the dealer they need more products.
Exactly.
I hope I didn't get you in trouble.
No. I was questioning. I wanted to know how you guys felt about it because we work on vehicles that are well over $100,000, and
Oh yeah.
we put the stuff in the engine and the tank, and they'll sell a service without wipers, but they'll get a BG treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my question to you, wanting to know how you guys felt about it, but I appreciate you taking my call.
Well, just to expand on your point just a little bit, is that BG looks like other companies at dealerships now and repair shops because the cars are getting better and better and better, and the maintenance is becoming less and less. They're more reliable. They require less maintenance. So 25, 30 years ago, I don't know how long you've been in the business, but when I started back in 60s and 70s and 80s, the warranties were only 12 months, so 1 year, and the car wouldn't last 50,000 miles. And our service department, we made a fortune because cars broke a lot, required a lot of maintenance. Fast forward to the 21st century, these cars don't break very much and they don't require much maintenance. So the service departments are starving to death, and technicians like yourself have to have something to do to fix, and hence BG. And so when you when you drive into a service department today, typically the service advisors, the service salespeople, they're going to be selling you stuff that you don't need. So a horse just came into the studio. If I sound.
Marshall is here, everybody.
So anyway, thanks very much for the call.
Yes, thank you, Jason.
I'll take over talking
Keep
as
on
Earl
listening.
is now hugging a horse's head right now.
The Great Dane
Hi, Marshall.
is just coming.
Yeah, this is Marshall from Big Dog
Marshall,
Ranch
oh,
Rescue.
my
We had to
man.
have two
Marshall, my
volunteers
man.
today because he's
Wow, you're a big boy.
he's hard to handle. Just met him out there in the lobby.
Marshall thinks he's a puppy.
Marshall
He
is a
doesn't know he's a
2-year-old
giant.
Great Dane. We're going to let Peggy tell you all about him in a second, but this is my preliminary assessment. This is a lover. He's got a head the size of a horse, and he just wants you to hold his head in your hands and scratch him, and he kisses, and he's smiling, and
Oh, he's beautiful.
oh yeah.
Look at him.
There's a little injury he has in the back. They're going to tell you about in his back leg. But wow,
It doesn't
he's got a
show.
brindle
He's eating my
coat.
chair.
He's eating Earl. Go ahead, Peggy.
Hi. We have Marshall, as mentioned, a small pony. I had to bring backup because he weighs more than me.
That's
He weighs
exactly
in
what
at
I was thinking.
He weighs 108 pounds.
Marshall.
He's 2 years old, so he's still a baby. Unfortunately, he came to us with a pretty severe injury. We're not sure what it was, but something got at his Achilles tendon, and he had to have major surgery. He still limps somewhat, but we're doing therapy
We
with
have something
him.
in common. My Achilles tendon
There you go.
got severed.
He
Yeah, I'm
still limps a
limping
little
from it.
bit and holds his
Yeah.
back
You're both
left
in
leg
therapy.
up.
Yeah.
But he is a big goofball, as most Danes are. He loves everybody. He loves kids. He's playful. He likes toys. He likes most dogs. But yeah, he likes most dogs, but he needs like
Your
a
dog, you better hope
He
likes
prefers
you.
he prefers the smaller one-bite dogs like
Right,
the
he just needs
Chihuahuas.
like a slow introduction when meeting new dogs.
Yeah, they all get excited, don't they?
He is absolutely gorgeous with the brindle coat.
And he's eating my cherry. He keeps eating my cherry.
He comes to us from Alabama,
He's an
so
adult.
he's a Southern boy.
Oh,
Southern boy.
Y'all from Alabama?
Unfortunately, does not like water. So if you're looking for a beach buddy
Aw.
to go in the water, he's probably not going to be your boy.
He likes drinking water from my hand.
Well,
He
you're
just had a
okay.
little
Good.
bit. He was thirsty.
He stays out of the out of the lake at the Big Dog
Yes.
at Big Dog
Yes.
Ranch.
He does like a sponge bath, though. However,
Oh, I bet.
Wow.
Vanessa gave
Amazing.
him a nice sponge bath before we came, and he
Yeah.
enjoys that.
Let me tell you what, he's in the right place
Can you see
at
him
Big
lifting
Dog
up
Ranch.
his leg a little bit?
Yeah, you can kind of see on the I'm looking
Right.
at the feed right
He
now.
still favors that leg.
So he limps around a little bit, but look at him.
we're
He
doing
does-
therapies at the
Yeah.
ranch with him.
Are you?
And he's getting stronger and better every day.
Yeah.
And,
Looks like it.
We just thought that he'd be great for today because we
Yeah.
like to bring our ones that,
Yeah.
have a little bit of a challenge
Yes.
with
He-
us.
I don't
Yes.
see how any you meet this dog. I'm telling you
He's
right now.
gorgeous.
Yeah, but just the love. The moment he
tongue.
saw me, I saw he made eye contact with me,
It's
and
the tongue for me.
He looks just like Marmaduke.
he does.
It does look like Marmaduke.
Yeah,
You
that
know-
could be his middle name, Marshall Marmaduke, whatever your last name is.
Exactly. Hey, folks, if you want to adopt the dog of the week, all you have to do is, and it's our featured dog, you can go to Big Dog Ranch Rescue, and that is www.bdrr.org, and you can find out all about Marshall, or AKA Marmaduke, and so many other
He's just a
dogs.
big old goofball.
Hundreds of them out
That's
there.
all-
and
that's
the
best way
website's
to
great.
describe 'em.
You get all the information, their age, and then there's contact information. But guess what? We're doing something special here on Earl on Cars. We do it every week now. We've been doing it for years, but we're doing it on our show here. This is as our sponsored dog.
He
We
wants to
we
get
pay
in
the
my lap.
adoption fees. So whenever you adopt a dog, no matter where you adopt it, there's always some cost involved. Whether it's Big Dog Ranch Rescue, Peggy Adams, or Furry, all of them, they got adoption fees, and but we take care of them for you for the adoption dog. So we're giving away dogs here.
That's a good point,
this is
Stu.
a free Great Dane.
The fees are so expensive for some, and they
Yeah.
can't adopt any dogs.
Yeah, it's a couple $100, few $100, and I mean it's not. Let's put it this way: adopting a dog is not like buying a designer dog, from some breeder. You're not spending thousands of dollars, but we want to make it easy and accessible, and so that's why we're doing this. So Marshall is basically a free dog. So call us or text us at the show. You all know the numbers. You can message us or go directly through Big Dog Ranch Rescue. And like Nancy said, that's bdrr.org.
Yeah.
And we pay the adoption fees.
Another thank you, Stu. Another amazing feature is if you haven't heard about Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer, listen. All proceeds go to the Big Dog Ranch. You can go to Amazon or Earl on Cars. I believe that's it, Jonathan.
Yeah. And earlsbook.com.
Yeah, at earlsbook.com and Amazon. And ladies and gentlemen, it's $19.99, right, Stu?
$19.99. I got it wrong last week. It's $19.99.
and
and
all proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch. And this Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer, you definitely can use this book today, tomorrow, next year. Is filled with information on fees and so much more.
Okay. So for the radio listeners out there, very appreciative of that, Nancy, because they can't see what's going on here. So if you're streaming us, you can see what's happening. Marshall's getting a scratch fest right now. He's going around in circles, and I think he's standing on Earl's foot. Watch, is that your bad foot? Be careful. That's 108 pounds of paw coming down on your foot. So anyway, so if you're streaming it, you know what's going on. But if you want to see what's happening right here, Nancy almost got knocked down there. Oops. if you want to see what's happening, this stays on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Earl on Cars, or just
You
search
gotta adopt
Earl
this
on
dog.
Cars.
He's a great
The
dog.
video is going to stay up
He
there
is
forever.
amazing.
So it's chaotic in here, like it is at 9:30 almost
I want to give you
every
this check,
Saturday.
and it's from one of our listeners who made a donation to Big Dog Ranch, and her name is Betty.
There is,
And, Betty,
I
we
think,
thank you for
I think
that. And,
Marshall's he's making his way back over to Earl.
You're a star.
Hey, bring this big dog over to me. I got to say goodbye to Marshall before he leaves. So anyway, you can watch the replay of this on Facebook and YouTube, but also share it with your friends and share it for people that might be looking for a dog who don't even know. So, hey, Dad, start talking. Hey, yeah, I'm going to talk cutesy to Marshall here. Hey, good boy.
And remember, if you can't adopt Marshall, and you just don't have the facilities, you can foster him for a while. Just bring Marshall to your home for, a week or two, and that makes more room at the ranch for us to bring in more dogs like Marshall that need help. So.
Wow, well, we were teasing him before we met him. We said it was a horse, but that's a dog. That's 100%. That's 110% dog. 108% dog.
There are horses that size.
I have a dog that's 90 pounds, and he's not that tall. This dog came up to my chest.
What do you think Marshall weighs?
Well, he told us 108 pounds.
Oh, 108, okay.
So he weighs about almost 20 pounds more than my dog.
Which one of your dogs weighs 90 pounds?
Wally.
Wally, oh.
Yeah, Wally's.
Wow. I didn't know Wally weighed 90.
What does Oreo weigh?
Oreo, I adopted Oreo from Big Dog Ranch Rescue in 2016. Oreo weighs 17 pounds now. When we got her, she was little, like much younger, weighed 13 pounds, and then she put on some weight. She got up to 23 pounds, and the vet said she's technically obese. So we put her on a farmer's dog diet, and she's back down to her normal weight now.
Oh, how nice.
So,
but Wally is 100 and...
While we're on dogs, and I can tell the whole world because we're on the radio, my daughter adopted a dog, a little rat-like terrier that with crazy great human hair on it, and she named him Tubbo. And so we have
Name what?
Tubbo, like
Tubbo.
like you're insulting somebody. She didn't realize it was an insult. But hey, Tubbo, if you're listening, I love you.
And they're in New York.
Yes.
Yes. Tubbo.
City dog. All right, back to the recovering car.
The camera does not do justice for how big Marshall really is.
Not at all.
And the smile on his face, just that goofy look on his face is like,
I love him. I love that dog.
Amazing.
Well,
Okay, folks, we are going to, I believe, go to the mystery shopping report.
we have time. Let's get some text, or if we
Wanna
have,
go
we
back
haven't
to
done
Rick?
the YouTubes.
we're actually a little slow, but we got a couple comments here.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me scroll back just a little bit. Of course, we had Eric commenting in earlier. Let's see. Johnny Z. Fradley, we got to bring a couple of these comments on the air here. When we were discussing the flying car and its top speed, he came in with a comment of 88 miles per hour. It goes into the future or the past.
That's right. It's not a DeLorean, though.
When we were discussing with the fellow with the Cadillac, talking about the fake leather, Johnny's answer was, they call it vegan leather, and he says to him the vegan leather tastes just as good as genuine leather. So I think Johnny may be related to Marshall a little bit there, chewing on chairs there. So yeah, but and then he also did mention that his first car was from 1980 from Rick Case in Cleveland.
Up and down.
And he said that was at their first store. He said, but before that, Rick Case sold bicycles and motorcycles.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of interesting
He's
little
a
thought there.
bike salesman. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Interesting.
nice thing about car dealers like him. You talk about a rags to riches story, case like that where they start out selling motorcycles and end up the largest Honda dealer. It takes a special type of personality. Typically, guys like that are not really good business people, and so therefore his wife was so important. And really kind of, I don't think they would have ever reached the size they did without her guidance, and she still runs the store now after he passed away.
Makes you wonder if his Honda shop or if his motorcycle shop was Honda's.
Yeah,
Because
could be.
I got to tell you, Honda makes a great motorcycle along with their cars.
Yeah.
And a great lawnmower.
Yep. Oh yeah. Generators. Honda knows engines. I got to say that.
Yeah.
Honda does not.
I think
you
Toyota. I
hear
think
these
Toyota makes a better
issues-
forklift, though.
Perhaps.
I think so.
But you hear issues with Toyota engines, Kia engines, everybody else, but you never really hear issues with the basic Honda engines. It just they seem to know how to get those tolerances in.
What was Honda making during World War II? They weren't. Okay, I was just testing you guys. I knew that.
Oh,
I got a text from Linda in Palm City. If we got time.
yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, Linda, and thank you.
she's going the text route this morning. She says, "Good morning. My warranty expired in my 2015 Nissan Murano Platinum. I have less than 55,000 miles on the car, and it's in great condition. As a senior, I'm concerned about high repair costs and looking to get another warranty. I saw online a company called Endurance that is supposed to be good. My cost for another 5 years is about $5,000 with a $100 deductible. Is this good, or can you recommend anyone else? Thank you so much." And that's Linda in Palm City.
Well, a lot of people have heard my feeling about extended warranties. If you have a good car and you've taken care of it, meaning you follow the owner's guide, owner's manual recommendation on its maintenance, you're pouring good money after bad to buy a warranty. You don't need the warranty. Bank it yourself if you feel you might not have the money if should you have a problem, and put $100 a month into an account, let it grow, and then if you need it, when you need it. If not, you got a bonus when you sell the car or trade it in.
Got a down payment on the next one.
The worst thing about warranties is too many of them are scams. We talked earlier on the show about a company that was busted for selling phony warranties. It's become a real scam thing out there. There's some good warranties out there, just like there are good insurance companies, and but they make money. You know, when you buy a policy from State Farm, they're making money. So unless you couldn't afford to fix your car, and you would need that, then you have to be very careful to buy a warranty that covers the important things.
You have $5,000 to spend on a warranty. Don't put it in a savings
Don't even think
account.
about it. Yeah.
Okay. I think we've got about 5 minutes to take care of this mystery shopping report. Ladies and gentlemen, you definitely can be part of the grading of this mystery shopping report. And this is Kenny Ross Mazda from North Huntington, Pennsylvania. And you can vote by texting us at 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, Agent Lightning is traveling again, and that's nice when she does that. And her hometown is in Pennsylvania, so she gets to Pennsylvania fairly often, but she travels other places too. So it's great. We used to do just exclusively Florida car reports or mystery shopping reports. I'll speak in the first person as if I am Agent Lightning. I arrived early in the afternoon and was greeted by a gentleman sitting behind the front desk. He smiled broadly and asked me if I was there to see anyone in particular. I replied that I was just interested in seeing if they had any new Mazda 3s in stock. He chuckled, informed me that while they were difficult to come by, they did have two on the premises. When asked about the color preferences, I expressed interest in the blue one. He promptly assured me he'd return shortly with a plate and license plate and keys. Upon his return, he beckoned me to follow him outside where he would pull the car up for me. After parking the car, he inquired whether I was considering trading in my current vehicle and requested my driver's license. Now, these questions, when you go into a car dealership, which I strongly recommend against, I recommend online buying, telephone buying. When you go into a car dealership, you're under the dealership's control. They have the edge. But if you're there, you're there. So he asked me whether I was considering trading my current vehicle. They want your current vehicle, and when you answer yes or no, that affects the price of the new vehicle. So all these questions that you answer are feeding him information he needs to make the maximum profit from your visit. And that's the way car dealerships operate. It doesn't sound like something that you would accept in the 21st century, but the last of the Mohegans in the car are the car dealers and the way they sell cars. It's haggling and hassling. It's negotiating. The sharp negotiator gets a really good price. The same person comes in, buys the same car that you did, and pays thousands of dollars more. It's really, really like Russian roulette when you're buying a car. And that's where we are in the 21st century. It's about the trade-in and my driver's license, attempting to infuse some humor in the situation. Comment, believe it or not, I'm not always as much of a pain in the behind. And that's another thing that he's trained to do. Likable people sell products. Likable people sell cars. So when a person has a wonderful personality and treats you, we sometimes on the show when we do shopping reports, we get angry at rude salespeople. Well, rude salespeople are also stupid salespeople, because the one that can really get you, the one that can really sell you a car for far more than you should pay, is the guy that smiles and ingratiates him or herself to you. And when you like somebody, it's easier to get the checkbook out and write a check out than if you don't trust them. So the successful salespeople that make the most money are also the nicest, unfortunately. Okay, I handed over my license, and he left me to familiarize himself with the car while he made a copy of my identification. A few minutes later, he was back, and off we went. I hesitate to lick my finger to turn the page here because the dog we had here licked my hands and my entire body.
I'm aware of the film on my hands right now.
I hope Marshall is healthy.
He is. They gave him a sponge bath right before they came in. They did. They did a special cleaning.
During the test drive, Nick expounded on the various features of the Mazda 3, highlighting that it was top rated for safety amongst all brands. I didn't check that. I meant to, but I didn't. But the Mazda 3, you could check Consumer Reports to find out if it really is top rated for safety.
Will do.
It may be. We continued a lovely chat throughout the drive, where I mentioned that I was considering buying a car to keep this in this area. And remember, we're in Huntington, Pennsylvania. In this area where I was considering buying a car. Responded to this, he suggested that I might want to consider leasing, given that I wouldn't be driving it frequently. I can kind of halfway understand that logic, but it was just sales talk, so I guess it could make sense. After giving it some thought, I told him we'd most likely buy the car, eventually hand it down to our daughter when she starts driving. I thanked him for his suggestion, acknowledging it is a good idea that I hadn't previously considered, meaning the leasing, because they're not going to drive it very much. He's referring to the mileage issue. After the test drive, he demonstrated a few more features, after which we headed back inside to his desk. As Nick began inputting my information, he made light of his one-finger typing skills, again, being friendly, being nice, and getting ready to pounce. Go for the jugular. He's asked for my email address, requesting that I dictate it slowly so he could accurately input it.
The 2023 Mazda 3 is a top safety pick by the IIHS. That's what I found.
That's good. Okay.
It has a less of an exciting score, 74. It is recommended on Consumer Reports with an overall score of a pale green 74. It's not the rich dark green, but it's a pale green.
Well, Nick, if you're listening, I apologize. I was suggesting you might not be accurate, and maybe I'm being too hard on you. I probably am. But the Mazda 3 is a safe car, according to testing. We verified that. After collecting all of my details, he inquired if I had any questions about the car and whether I'd like to proceed with the buying process. Upon my affirmative response, he asked about my credit. There we go with his standard questions. Financing duration and down payment details before excusing himself to confer with the sales manager. Now, questions like this are qualifying questions. They're questions that eventually you need to answer. But I just tell you this, when you're being controlled by the salesperson and he's asking the questions and you're giving the answers, you're giving him the things he needs to do to maximize the profit for the dealer and the commission for himself. So why go into a dealership and spill your guts, pardon the expression, and tell them everything about you and everything you want to do when you could do this online and keep your personal information to yourself and still get a good price? Because if you're online, they can't, they can't ask these questions and expect answers. You're in control because you want one thing and you want their best price, which is the way you should buy a car. A few minutes later, Nick returned with a price sheet, took the time to explain all the fees, and there are quite a few. The market value selling price was MSRP. The market value selling price, MSRP, $25,015. They took off a $1,045 discount. Now that sounds real good, right?
Sure does.
Because you hear about cars being sold at MSRP and over, but you say, hey, this is market value selling price, $20,015. They just took off $1,045. Well, hang on to your hat. Here's what really happened. After $1,045 discount from MSRP, they added $999 for LoJack. Now, a lot of you folks probably haven't even heard about LoJack. LoJack was the first GPS theft deterrent in the world. It was really primitive, and you had to sign up. Some states had it, some states didn't. The price was high, and today.
And it's got to be installed like in your car, like some device.
They hide it someplace.
Yep.
But you can do the same thing yourself. You can buy a GPS device on Amazon for $20 or $30.
Throw AirTag in your back seat.
Yeah, yeah. And you get a
tile.
Apple,
Apple
an
AirTag.
Apple tag, AirTag, is a LoJack. So here they want $900. Can I say $1,000?
Yeah.
$1,000 for a LoJack, which is an archaic piece of equipment. It's like a horse and buggy compared to a car. It makes no sense. They exist only for car dealers to have big markups and big gross profits they make when they pack the LoJack onto your car and don't ask you, and then they add $1,000 for it. Forget about LoJack. Next, $499 for NSD. Appearance package. We don't know what that is, but it's $499, mostly all profit to the dealer. And then they have a 2-year paint. That is a 2-year paint and fabric protection.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what can a 2-year paint and fabric protection be when that's all covered by the warranty? Unless you destroy the leather or the cloth yourself or scratch the car, I don't think this NSD appearance package would cover that either. So, to me, that's worthless, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like a Scotch guard type of thing inside.
Well, for 2 years, the factory covers it.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe a kid spills Kool-Aid in it, it would cover that, but I don't think. By the way, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, we did get a Toyo Guard claim paid for staying in the back seat.
Was that the first one ever?
First one ever.
First one ever.
The first one I know about, but we've been talking about it, but there has been one.
And then, but wait, there's more. $399. $400 for etch. Now that's this glass etch, which back in the day when we used to do that, before I became a recovering car dealer, I paid $25 for that. Today, let's be crazy and say it costs $100. They're charging $400. And then they add a doc fee, $449 doc fee. A documentary fee is a fee that you're supposed to pay. That's a legal term, and it doesn't exist. There's no lawyers involved in this, but they're still charging that. They're making up. These are all junk fees. They have different names, but they're junk fees, and there's some value to the things like the NSD, very low value, and even the LoJack.
He said the doc fee was for state paperwork.
State paperwork.
And that's
BS. Yeah.
I mean, they might say it's for their accounting department to send documents to the state.
My being Agent Lightning, my total out the door figure was $27,000 $963. My real selling price was $26,316, $1,301 over MSRP. Now, I would have had more respect for this dealer if he'd have just had on the window, alongside the Maroni label, that had the MSRP of $25,015. They just said $1,300 addendum, market adjustment addendum. I don't like it, but it's less deceptive. It's at least it's just saying, listen, I'm charging you $1,300 over MSRP. Be upfront about it. Give that shopper, meaning me, the right to shop and compare with other dealers. But with the smoke and mirrors, with a low jack, with the NSD appearance package, paint and fabric, dock fees, etch, that's smoke and mirrors, folks. They're trying to confuse you, and frankly, I'm a little surprised. We've had some really good shopping reports from Pennsylvania. And this really got me. I'm Agent Lighting, remember. I attempted to take a picture of the worksheet with my iPhone camera, but the salesman refused gently, stating that it was not permitted to allow this, and he could potentially lose his job over it. Now, first of all, I don't really think he would lose his job, but you know something, he could. In some hard-nosed dealerships, they say, do this or else. It's my way or the highway. I mean, some dealerships operate like that. It's most like the dealership or the salesman was going for a pity response. Oh, I don't want you to lose your job. So, but he would not allow. I mean, it's like saying, I won't give you a copy of the price I just gave you. If they won't give you a copy, meaning your photograph, what does that tell you about the integrity of the person selling you the product?
Yeah, and also integrity of the information on it. If they're not going to give it to you, it tells me it's going to change.
Yeah, exactly. And it tells you also that they don't want you to shop and compare their price. They would rather you go out blind and get the best price they can, which would be a higher price. If you had a good price from one dealer and you took it to another dealer, you would have some control over trying to get a lower price. Anyway, I tried explaining that to my husband. He wanted me to, he wouldn't allow me to have a picture, but I said, I need some information to take home to my husband because he wants a detailed breakdown of the cost, to which he posed a challenging question. What would be the final figure that would convince me to buy the car immediately without my husband saying any numbers? That is really,
It's trying to get between a married,
that's really getting
married
rough.
couple. You don't do that.
I'm really, I'm surprised.
I think that's a complete. That was just a failure of salesmanship right there.
Yeah. So, and unusual for this part of the country, by the way, because Agent Lightning has shopped this area several times before. I admitted that might not work given that my husband is a numbers person and would want to scrutinize the breakdown. I noted down all the items, and then he took my phone and captured a photo for me. So there again, he ingratiated after asking me to fear for his life if he took a picture. He snuck a picture with my phone and gave it back to me. So I think it's a game he's playing. I think he's trying to ingratiate himself to me so that I will feel sorry for him and buy the car. I'm sorry, that's the way I feel. Nick excused himself to fetch his manager. Upon their return, his manager suggested that I take the car for the afternoon to drive and show my husband. That's aggressive, and if you're buying a car, you should take the car for the afternoon. Despite their offer, I declined, explained that I had a lot on my plate before heading back to Florida. I thanked him for the time, and I left. So there we are, Kenny Ross Mazda in Pennsylvania, North Huntington, Pennsylvania. And we will score this, grade on the curve, keeping in mind that there's no perfect dealers. There are no perfect dealers, and A is almost unheard of. So if they're anywhere above an F, we put them on our recommended list, but we put the grade alongside. So if you go to Earl on Cars, you can see our recommended dealers and also the ones that we say do not buy a car from, that's an F. So grading on the curve, we'd appreciate your texting us your scores. and let us know what you think of the Kenny Ross Mazda in North Huntington, Pennsylvania.
You know, I'm looking at the map here, and North Huntington is a little bit closer to Pittsburgh than
Irwin.
Yeah.
So maybe as you get closer to the metro center, similar to what we see in South Florida, it just gets a little dirtier.
Probably, yeah. Intense competition breeds ridiculous tactics. I mean, one dealer feels like they have to resort to as strong tactics as the competition, and to some extent that's true. It's really a domino effect. When you have one dealer that gets away with bloody murder and sells a lot of cars, he's taking business away from his competition, and the competition say, I don't like it, but I've got to do the same thing. And that's the excuse that you hear oftentimes from dealers. I mean, when we dropped our dealer fee at our dealership many years ago, I had dealers call me and say, I'd love to do the same thing, but I'm afraid to do it. And the ones that did drop their dealer fee, copying us, or junk fee, I should say, the ones that did went back and added it back later on because nobody else did.
Bigger and better.
Bigger and better, yeah.
So, yeah, and it's also interesting. It's also the type of that was last week. It was a Kia dealership that typically do bad that did very, very well.
Yeah,
they did.
Mazda. Yeah,
it
I have
was
some
nice.
grades coming in. Jonathan and Delray, formerly Wellington. So between last week and this week, Jonathan has moved. He says, I'll give this Mazda dealership a D. The salesperson's amicable personality was appreciated, but not enough to override the fraudulent fees for LoJack, etch, dock fee, and the appearance package. Sounds disreputable to me. And Bob says F for failure for Kenny Ross Mazda. My thoughts are there was a lot of stuff that we typically only see down here, and I'm not sure if Nick's affable personality. I think he was complicit. I mean, sometimes we see salespeople that they're just as much of a victim as the management as the customer. But this guy seemed like he knew what he was doing. I'm not going to fail him because we are on a curve, but I think the curve is a little bit different in Pennsylvania. So I give him a D-.
Rick?
From Negan 1, in the words of Stu's S-bomb, F.
He paid attention.
Crappy deal. He caught
Thanks,
it.
Nick.
Yeah, he got it.
Yeah, I'm getting a call from the FCC this afternoon.
From Kirk in West by God, Virginia, Kenny Ross Mazda, what $1,900 of craptastic fees, but you get a $1,000 discount. Sorry, not for me. No picture of the worksheet, and magic hidden fees earns you a solid F. Tom Steckel, D. Unwilling to immediately provide an out-the-door price, low-value options that added nearly $2,000 must be related to Al Hendrickson. Scott Hunter, D. Fees. Johnny Friedley, too many junk fees and over MSRP equals F. Tim Gilliland, from Toasty Yuma, I'm holding out for nitrogen in the tires. C-. Brian Sedlatko, D for me, too many fees. Give me $5. This is a hard F. Too many junk fees. Rocky Blocketeel, LoJack. Why not throw in an 8-track tape player while you're at it?
I want to see that.
TK Micklin.
That one stuck in Rick's throat. That one hurt. He's trying to speak right now. Rick is leaning over, coughing. He's smiling. I think he's okay.
Sorry, folks.
He's back to the mic.
TK Mecklin, D-. And for me, I'm going to say a D. Yeah, you can get the deal, but you're going to have to watch yourself there, folks. It's a little scary near Pittsburgh.
I'm going to give him a D too because that's the worst store we shopped in Pennsylvania. But there's some stores down here and around the rest of the country that are so bad, I'm not going to fail them. But I came close.
Okay, from the Pittsburgh girl, I'll tell you what, you guys. Mm-hmm. Do you hear that? You guys. Mm-hmm. That is clearly Pittsburgh. For North Huntington, Pennsylvania, I'm a little embarrassed. $9.99 for a LoJack.
They're making you look bad, Nancy.
Honestly, you're making me look bad. Stu just said it. At home, I have the Apple tags. I got them all over the place. I'll stick with that. And what was this? Was this a test? What would be the figure, the final figure that would convince me to buy the car immediately without my husband? Was that a test?
That's called the final close.
Guess what? You failed. I give you an F.
Wow.
There we go.
The Black Widow.
Hey, it's personal.
There you go. It very much is.
Yeah.
I warned him the easy way or the hard way.
All right, guys. See you later.
Okay. Stu is out of here. Listen, Marshall was in. I hope everyone saw how beautiful Marshall the Great Dane was. And you can definitely adopt today's featured dog of the week. And you can do that by going to www.bigdogranchrescue.org. There you can not only see Marshall, but you can see everyone. I didn't hear you do your dog. As deep as Marshall would. Can you go that low?
I came down for his dive.
That was
There
tough.
you go.
That
And-
was
I don't
and
think
you-
Marshall barked, did he?
Not only was here,
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got a great bark, though.
He was
Yeah.
quiet. He was a good boy.
Yeah, very. Also, let me mention again, Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer. Don't forget, you can go to Amazon, you can go to earlsbook.com, and there you'll pay $19.99 for that book. And guess where that all goes? It all goes to Big Dog Ranch, a
Except
great
for the
cause.
Amazon kickback fee. We had to pay Amazon to sell the book.
Yeah.
There
That's
you
a
go.
few bucks there.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to Earl Stewart on Cars. And also, I want to thank Betty again for her contribution to Big Dog Ranch and her reaching out to other ladies who would like to call the show. Have a wonderful weekend.